Coming up, all the food, fun, fireworks of the 4th of July would not be possible without sacrifices from our vets. We take a look at how a Huey helps heal old war wounds. And did you hear the one about the high school students who built an airplane in 2 weeks? No joke, and it flies. We check out Build a Plane. Plus Rod Machado with a tip that could save your life. AOPA Live this week begins in just a moment. Happy 4th of July, everybody. I'm Warren Morningstar. Tom Haynes is off for the holiday, as is most of Washington, but there are plenty of us left here at AOPA, and even during this quiet week, we have plenty to tell you, including this special message from AOPA President Craig Fuller out on the AOPA ramp. Craig?
I wanted to take a moment and wish you and your family the very best on this 4th of July. This is a very unique holiday, and it's one in which we recognize our independence and our freedoms. And for those of us in general aviation, the unique freedom to fly across the country is very special. I hope you and your family will enjoy the holidays. I also hope you'll take the time to go out to an airport, do some flying, and enjoy this very special freedom to fly in America that's unlike any other nation in the world.
And thank you, Craig. Well, on this week, we celebrate our nation's freedom. We also celebrate those who help us provide that freedom. United States military veterans have all made sacrifices for our country. Sometimes those sacrifices involve invisible wounds. One group of veteran aviators is helping to keep the history of Vietnam helicopters alive, and in the process, they found a way to help those touched by the war find closure. AOPA Live's Paul Harrop reports.
Spinning blades, OD green paint, wide open doors. This UH-1 Huey helicopter is a sight out of the history books.
Well, it is. It's the icon to me of Vietnam. All of us grunts were climbing on it.
With a sound that's unforgettable.
43 years later, which is the last time I flew on a Huey, you never forget the whomp, 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 whomp sound.
When you heard those blades coming to get you out, whether it's extracting you or whether you were being medevaced out, it's a symbol of Vietnam.
A symbol that the Army Aviation Heritage Foundation is working to keep alive for the next generation and veterans like Fred Frakatic alike.
It's absolutely great because a lot of people, including the people who are just on the flight, they didn't realize what it felt like.
When you take a ride on the iconic warbird, you feel what it was like for those who served. The wind from the door, the bounce from the blades, and the wash from the Foundation's Huey and Cobra as you get in and out.
While it's an impressive sight and sound to watch these machines take off, the story here is far deeper than the hardware.
Vietnam left scars both physical and emotional. Lee Stewart with the AAHF has many memories from around a Huey.
I've done combat operations. I've been the grunt in it. I went on to become a pilot in it. So it's very therapeutic just to me within itself. And then what I see it does to other veterans as well. It's a powerful tool. It's some things you can't even put words to it.
Lee says the machines help those who served and those who lost loved ones reconnect with the war and find closure.
It's healing to me as well because this Vietnam wasn't accepted that well when I was in. And now people have that more respect when they see it. I mean, you look at the people here, young kids coming out to ride it. They can't really relate to it, but they've heard the legacy of it. Somebody in their family's probably done it, either served in it, rode in it, medevaced in it, or whatever.
A machine and the brave men who worked on it, still getting the respect they earned 4 decades later. In Lakeland, Florida, Paul Harrop, AOPA Live.
Turning now to some active duty folks, the AOPA Air Safety Institute was recently able to help out the Pennsylvania Army National Guard's Company A 2-104th General Support Aviation Battalion. They're stationed at Bagram Air Force Base in Afghanistan. They asked for some of the Institute's safety videos and training materials for their ground school. And here's something new from the Air Safety Institute, and all of you flight instructors will want to listen up. The Institute has just launched its brand new eFERC, that's Flight Instructor Refresher Clinic, and this completely redesigned online course adds new videos, special elective, and something no other course offers.
Flight instructors can begin the training anytime, so we have a 2-year renewal cycle, and they can start the training anytime they want and continue all the way up until their expiration date on their certificate.
And that means you aren't trying to cram your training all into the final weeks just before your instructor certificate expires. And you can work on the course just about anywhere.
So as long as you have internet access, you can access the course on a variety of mobile devices. I've been using it on my iPad, it works great. So any of the mobile platforms it can work on. Well, another piece that I think a lot of instructors are going to be excited about is the fact that they don't have to mail in their 8710. They'll be able to use the IACRA online system so they can do the full renewal from the comfort of their homes.
And it's real easy to find online too. Just go to eferc.com. Well, coming up after the break, Cessna delivers their firecracker of a high-performance single, and Rod Machado tells you what to do if your prop goes boom. You're watching AOPA Live this week. Welcome back. You're watching AOPA Live this week. Happy Independence Day. And in Independence, Kansas, the first Cessna TTX customers have just picked up their factory fresh birds. They can now exercise their freedom to fly at a cruise speed of up to 238 knots. But the freedom to fly isn't free. The four-seater is priced at $734,000, not including the anti-icing equipment. And a California company says it has an update for the TTX's predecessor. Lam Aviation claims its new aileron design, coupled with a shorter wing, would give the Lancer Columbia a 12 to 16 knot speed increase and a 50% increase in climb rate. Testing continues on the design. And Cirrus has installed a giant autoclave oven in its Grand Forks, North Dakota factory. The company can now bake its wing spars and other parts on site, which should save millions of dollars and create new jobs. Well, this week an airplane flew for the first time. No big whoop, you say? Well, until you learn that 2 weeks prior to that, it was just a pile of parts. Oh, and it was some high school students who put them all together. AOPA Live's Jill Tallman reports.
These young people are hard at work building a Glass Air Sportsman.
It's been really amazing. There's a lot of learning that's going on, and I've learned so much. Even in the first day and a half that I've been here, it's been crazy.
They're just in high school, but they've got their sleeves rolled up.
So what's it like to work on something that you might eventually fly?
It's a little scary, to be quite honest. But I've seen all the good work that's gone into it, and I'm not scared at all anymore.
They're taking part in the Build a Plane program, which hopes to get youth interested in aviation. The program was started by Lynn Freeman after he heard predictions of a decline in the pilot population.
And I just thought, I wondered if there was anything I could do about that. Instead of just sitting and watching aviation take a tumble.
The program has been in place for several years in classrooms across the country. But this year, the budding builders are taking things up a notch, going from a raw kit to taxi testing in just 2 weeks. The program gets high marks from the high school instructors.
And we turned the kids loose and we followed the curriculum. It was really good. It was good from a math perspective, a science perspective, and it really built on the skills that my kids had for aviation.
I think what's terrific is they're doing real work. This is not fetching tools for somebody.
And that hands-on experience could open a number of doors for these students.
You can be a pilot, you can be a builder, you can do the engine, you can rivet. You can pretty much do anything. There's lots of different things to do with airplanes.
General Aviation Manufacturers Association President Pete Bunce couldn't be happier with the program.
I didn't even envision it was going to be this wonderful because I didn't have I didn't know that the folks working out here at Fort Glacier were going to be such fantastic mentors and teachers to the young people.
In Arlington, Washington, Jill Tolman, AOPA Live.
Way to go, kids. And you can see the student-built airplanes this year at AirVenture. Well, it's now been, oh, what the heck. Hardly anybody is in Washington this week, so we'll give the FAA a break. Congress is also taking the week off, but last week the Senate confirmed Anthony Fox as Secretary of Transportation. Fox is the mayor of Charlotte, North Carolina. AOPA President Craig Fuller said of the confirmation, "We look to Secretary Fox to promote policies that will enable general aviation to continue to serve as an economic engine and vital component of our national transportation system." You can read more on AOPA.org. And we're still awaiting a response from the Customs and Border Patrol Commissioner about his agents detaining pilots and searching general aviation aircraft. We're not going away, Mr. Commissioner. Meanwhile, remember that you can download our handy kneeboard-sized briefing on what you should do if you are stopped by a law enforcement officer and who wants to do a ramp check or search your aircraft. You can find it at aopa.org/CBP guidelines. Well, when there's a whole lot of shaking going on, it's time for immediate action if you're in an airplane. Rod Machado talks about broken props in this License to Learn.
Hello folks, I'm Rod Machado for AOPA Live. Propellers are a very important part of a pilot's life, especially when they're attached to a propeller hat. But on a rare occasion, those connected to an airplane fail us in flight. And what's important to know is how they fail and what we can do about it if and when that rare event happens. So let me be upfront here by beginning upfront with the propeller. Here's an example, an extremely rare example I might add, of an airplane after a forced landing that resulted from losing the entire propeller blade in flight. In 1% of all propeller blade accidents, the propeller comes clean off the airplane, and the only thing you can do here is to shut down the engine and find some place to land. Now, it's not surprising that these rare events are associated with poorly maintained airplanes with poorly maintained propellers. For example, an associate of mine was flying a poorly maintained air coupe when his propeller came clean off the crankshaft. He said, and I quote, he didn't realize it until about 45 seconds after it happened. Well, apparently the performance of his poorly maintained air coupe wasn't entirely dependent on the propeller being attached to it. Well, a more common yet still rare event is to have partial propeller blade separation in flight. In other words, some or all of a propeller blade departs the airplane. In this instance, this champ hit a bird and cracked the propeller tip and, of course, didn't do too much for the bird. On most occasions, the load imbalance, the asymmetric load imbalance from partial blade separation, results in extreme vibration requiring the pilot to immediately reach over and pull that power back to flight idle. Now, did I say immediately? Yes, I believe I did. I said immediately reduce power to flight idle to prevent damage to the engine mounts. Damaged engine mounts could result in the loss of an engine, and when I say loss of an engine here, I literally mean loss as in no longer there, which is never a good thing for the home team. Folks, here's the big takeaway I want you to remember. In my last AOPA Live presentation on control flutter, I mentioned that if you experience extreme vibration as a result of control flutter, you should reach over and pull the power aft to flight idle and slightly load the elevator while slowing the airplane down at the same time. And that's just what my friend did here when his propeller blade fractured in flight. He pulled the power aft immediately and slowed down, and then he brought the power up slightly to see if operation of the engine was still possible. Depending on how much of the propeller is actually missing and whatever airplane engine prop harmonics are in play, It's sometimes possible to run the engine to low to mid RPMs. Well, that didn't work out in this instance. So he prepared to land on a road, except that a guy in a Jeep was using the road at the same time and hogging the entire thing. And that's when my friend's wing accidentally tapped the top of the Jeep, resulting in Jeep man signaling, "Okay, you can play through." Well, this worked out well for him. Remember that. Extreme vibration, throttle back, slight load on the controls. That's how you handle that problem. Folks, thank you very much for tuning in. I'm Rod Machado for AOPA Live.
And Rod has a lot more to teach you. Check out his website, rodmachado.com, and you can see more on prop fractures on aopalive.org. And finally, I hope you will permit me this personal note. My nephew will be coming home to Norfolk this 4th of July holiday. He's in the Special Forces of the U.S. military, and I haven't seen him for nearly 4 years because of his multiple deployments. And sadly, a friend and colleague is mourning the death of his son, a casualty of military deployment. And in Arizona, the family and friends of 19 brave firefighters are struggling with their loss. The lifestyle, the benefits, the freedoms we all enjoy are there because of the few who run towards danger to protect us. And so I hope that while you are enjoying the holiday, you'll take a moment and think of our military and first responders, and then do more than think. Do something to make life better for them. They do so much for us. And we'd like to leave you with this piece celebrating our freedom to fly. For Tom Haynes, I'm Warren Morningstar. Have a safe and happy Independence Day. We'll see you next Thursday.